Chapter 441, Demoness Cooperation. Demoness of Catastrophe. Jenna had never heard of this term from Franca. Is it a sequence name? Lumion didn't hold anything back. Yes, a sequence 2 angel. Haha, the term angel and demoness always seem strange together. Angel, Jenna didn't have a clear impression of individuals at this level. Though she had often heard Lumion and Franca talk about the terror and might of demigods, it had remained theoretical for her. She didn't know how terrifying or powerful they were. Jenna muttered to herself, "Crismona, hasn't she already perished? Why am I still hearing her sigh? It should be from her right." Lumion looked at Jenna and said solemnly, "For such a formidable figure, even if they were to perish completely, there would still be remnants of their mind that wouldn't dissipate. It's like not stiffening even after becoming a corpse. In the future, if you come into contact with the inheritance of a similar influential figure, you must be very, very careful." Jenna looked surprised and vigilant. She glanced at the edge of the sacrificial square and asked with concern, "What do we do now?" Lumion chuckled. "What can we do? What else but wait for her to sigh? Do you have thoughts of comforting her?" "Don't worry. She's imprisoned by death and bound by the spring water. She can't leave the 4th and 3rd levels of the catacombs. As long as you don't explore this place, you don't have to worry about anything." How was it? Was there any influence from the primordial demoness? It was only then that Lumion, holding the white candle, assessed Jenna's appearance. Her skin, which hadn't been particularly good due to her background and experiences, seemed to have been reborn. Her facial features looked the same as usual, but the details had become more exquisite, as if there was a luster flowing through them. Overall, she exuded an alluring charm and became even more feminine. Even with Lumion's experience, he couldn't help but marvel inwardly. Jenna was also scrutinizing herself. She felt that her height had increased a little, and the ratio of her body parts she had previously been dissatisfied with had approached perfection. "I sensed a peculiar python appear, but it didn't really approach me. It quickly vanished," Jenna recalled as she took out a prepared mirror. Facing the yellow candle flame in Lumion's hand, she scrutinized her reflection and couldn't help but smile. It was common for most people to appreciate beauty, and Jenna was no exception. Seeing how beautiful and charming she had become made her quite happy. She even felt enchanted by herself. Reluctantly, she put away the mirror and assessed her changes from various angles. "I can now use black flames that incinerate the spirit body and spirituality. I've gained the blessing of frost. I've mastered various forms of black magic. With prepared ingredients, I can directly become invisible and cast rare spells. Additionally, I can curse targets through blood and other media. I've unlocked the door to mirror magic and now possess anti-divination and the ability to create substitutes. I am skilled in using staff and can also use them as substitutes." Compared to assassins and instigators, witches had undergone a qualitative transformation. They possessed comprehensive abilities, considerable strength, and excelled in survival. Only then did Jenna truly feel like a member of the world of mysticism and a controller of superpowers. She suddenly felt an urge to test a witch's various abilities on a target. However, after glancing at Lumion, she abandoned the idea. She felt that there was still a significant gap between them. Even a sequence 6, Franca likely wasn't Seal's match. Of course, if Franca truly intended to assassinate Lumion, her chances of eliminating him weren't slim. Most Beyonders below sequence 4 were relatively weak. If they committed an error, it could very well plunge them into the depths of hell. Lumion tossed a burning white candle to Jenna and pointed at his black satchel. "There's some cosmetics in here. Make yourself look less attractive to hide your striking charm. That way, the Demoness sect's hidden members won't recognize you as a witch at a glance." For this purpose, he had brought a set of women's cosmetics. Jenna clicked her tongue. "You even thought of such details in advance." "In the Beyonder world, being cautious and meticulous effectively increases your chances of survival," Lumion said, turning around. "Let's disguise ourselves elsewhere. It's not suitable to stay here for too long." "Why do I get the feeling that you're often impulsive and a little crazy?" Jenna muttered softly before smiling. "Do you also think I've become more beautiful now?" She wasn't wearing any makeup, but her blue eyes seemed to contain starlight as they darted around. Lumion scoffed. I respect the potion's effects and believe in the influence of beyonder characteristics. With that, he turned around, holding the candle, and walked towards the wide stone steps leading up. You sure never lose out in a battle of tongues. Jenna cursed under her breath, quickly packed her things, and followed him. Before she could figure out how to continue teasing Lumion and express her gratitude, she heard the man slowly walk forward and casually say, "Also, you have to work for me tomorrow." "Damn it," Jenna blurted out. In the library district, Rue des Terraces. The street was known for its diverse terraces, frequented by tourists. Lumion stood on a café terrace decorated in shades of green and white, casting a sidelong glance at Building 20, where Guillaume Bainet's widow, Condiment Beauty Paulina, resided. The terrace of the house was painted a refreshing white, supported by a wooden frame that shielded it from the wind and rain. It resembled a resort hotel on the southern coast of Intis. Lumion sipped his coffee as all the information and conjectures he had gathered during this period flashed through his mind. Every week, a mysterious man visits the Condiment Beauty at night. Once or twice a week, at least once this week. It should be within these 2 days. According to the observations of the surrounding citizens, there are a total of 3 mysterious men who visited Paulina at night. One is young, one is in his prime, and one is nearly 60 years old. Who among them could be the sinner's liaison, Bouvard Pontperrault? One of Bouvard's contracted abilities is transfiguration. These 3 might or might not be him. They're just substitutes he creates to attract attention, and he sneaks in disguised as one of Paulina's servants. The price of transfiguration is one's own face. The downside is the desire to abuse others. The buildings on Rue de la Terrasse are quite soundproof. None of the neighbors heard Paulina's screams. Some time has elapsed since Guillaume Bainet's demise. It's highly likely that Paulina officially joined the Sinners organization, received a boon, and became a Beyonder. The most important part of the plan is to determine who Bouvard Pontperrault is. Lumion had a plan. As the sky darkened, he finished his coffee and donned his brown round hat. Without making a sound, he left the building and vanished into an alley on the side of the street. 20 Rue de la Terrasse, in the spacious and warm master bedroom. The mature and beautiful Paulina, adorned in a pale white nightgown, walked to the full-body mirror, removed her clothes, and examined the whip-like marks on her body. They had faded to a faint dark red hue, likely to dissipate completely within a few days. Paulina let out a soft sigh at the thought of the pain she would have to endure for the next 2 days. Her gaze fell upon the black mark on her right shoulder, and she rejoiced that the first contract ability she had chosen after becoming a contractee was regeneration. Once activated, it could regenerate flesh and skin to a certain extent, allowing various injuries to quickly recover. Paulina had never tested whether this could regenerate limbs, believing it should work if the conditions were met. Of course, the dead couldn't activate their abilities. Paulina adjusted her light white nightgown and prepared to put on light makeup to welcome a potential guest. At that moment, she suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. This also stemmed from her contract ability. She felt that sensing danger was more important than actual combat. For this, she had paid the price of fertility and received the negative effect of mild mental weakness. Paulina's nerves tightened and her body abruptly bent backward. With the flexibility of a dancer, she distanced herself from the source of danger. Simultaneously, she opened her right palm, and silver-white lightning shot out, intertwining with a crackling sound, enveloping the area where she suspected the assailant was hiding. This was her third and final contracted ability, Electric Arc. It could effectively compensate for her weaknesses in offensive means. The price was that she was prone to lightning strikes in a thunderstorm. The downside was that her body had become more sensitive. She could originally withstand 70–80% of her original threshold for pain. This made Paulina resistant to Bouvard Pontperrault's visit. She relied on Alm's monk's endurance to hold on every time. With a cracking sound, a mirror suddenly appeared in the area covered by the lightning in her palm. It quickly charred and shattered into pieces. From the corner of her eye, Paulina spotted a figure swiftly outlined by the drawn curtains. She hurriedly contorted her body to avoid it. Suddenly, a white fist materialized behind her head and smashed below her ear. With a bang, Paulina blacked out. Behind Condiment Beauty, Jenna, dressed as a female mercenary, instantly appeared. She and Franca easily controlled their target with dual invisibility, anti-divination tactics, one to attract attention and the other to launch a sneak attack. Franca took a few steps forward, retrieved the Bliss Society's sedative, and brought it to Paulina's nose. After completing her task, Jenna drew the curtains to leave a slight crack, casting her outstretched palm in the light of the room. This was a signal to Lumion that the operation had succeeded. Before long, Lumion scaled the outer wall and entered the master bedroom with Jenna's help. Then he tossed the lie earring to Franca. Franca transformed the mystical item into a silver pendant and hung it on her chest. Her appearance and height changed, becoming more and more like Paulina.